Chosen one, understand this. The universe has a way of balancing every intention ever thrown at you, whether it was a throne meant to uplift you or a thorn meant to wound you. Life is a perfect accountant. Nothing escapes its ledgers. Those who tried to trip you will eventually stumble over the traps they dug. Those who sharpened their words against you will feel the sting of their own venom. Cosmic balance doesn't miss. It simply waits for the right moment. Picture this: a path scattered with stones by jealous hands, critics whispering, haters lurking in shadows, all convinced that blocking your steps would break you. But what they never understood is this: pressure is the architect of power. Every obstacle they placed became part of your elevation. Every attempt to bury you became the soil that rooted your rise. Irony at its finest. Chosen one, there's a unique kind of silence that terrifies your enemies. The silence of someone aligning with their purpose. While they were busy plotting setbacks, the universe was quietly synchronizing your next leap. That's why your growth haunts them. It reminds them that their schemes weren't roadblocks, they were launch pads. And before we go deeper, show your support, like and subscribe, because messages like this are meant to reach the ones awakening to their own power. Your presence fuels this movement. Now listen closely. You are stepping into a future so bright, even your old shadows won't recognize you. Those who tried to dim your light will have no choice but to watch you rise. And rise you will, louder, stronger, and far beyond their reach. Before we go any further, Chosen One, pause for a moment, because what comes next will flip the way you see yourself forever. You're stepping into the version of you that makes their jaws drop, the side they never believed existed, the side that rewrites your entire story. But to keep this momentum alive, do 3 things right now. Hit that like button, subscribe so this message reaches more rising forces like you, and drop 99 in the comments to mark the moment you decided to stop shrinking. That single action locks you deeper into this energy, an energy designed for those who refuse to be overlooked ever again. If you feel a pull to keep listening, that's not an accident. That's alignment. That's your future self pulling you forward. Stay with me until the very end, because the part we're about to enter next, that's where everything shifts. Number 1. Stop confusing hiding with weakness. Use your silence as strategic power. Chosen One, they mistook your quiet phase for the end of your story, when in reality it was the most dangerous chapter of your evolution. They thought your silence meant you were slipping, shrinking, losing ground. But you weren't falling behind, you were powering up. While they were busy gossiping about your absence, you were building an energy they were never meant to witness until it was too late. See, this is the part that rattles them. You didn't need applause, permission, or an audience to transform. You didn't need validation because your growth wasn't a performance. It was preparation. You were sharpening your instincts, upgrading your mindset, strengthening your emotional armor. You weren't inactive. You were in incubation. And incubation is where legends become dangerous. Chosen One, people forget that real change never announces itself loudly. It builds like pressure beneath the earth, silently restructuring everything. A seed doesn't warn the soil before it bursts through. Pressure doesn't notify coal before it turns it into a stone that catches light. And you didn't need to broadcast a single move. Your evolution grew in secret until it became undeniable. And now the same mouths that mocked you are stuttering around your name. The same eyes that looked past you suddenly can't look away. They're replaying every moment they underestimated you, every smirk, every whisper, every dismissive laugh. Because now they see what you were becoming while they were too busy assuming you were nothing. What's haunting them isn't just your rise, it's how quietly you built it. Your silence wasn't retreat, it was strategy. You were studying, observing, decoding. While they chased attention, you chased alignment. While they threw noise at the world, you collected information. While they reacted out of insecurity, you responded with patience. That's why your comeback feels supernatural to them. You didn't return with noise, you returned with precision. Your silence gave you vision, it gave you clarity, it gave you an elevated awareness that most people never develop because they're too busy trying to be seen. But you, chosen one, weren't trying to be seen. You were trying to become something worth seeing. And now that you've stepped forward, your presence hits harder than any explanation ever could. They don't understand how someone who stayed quiet learned so much. They don't understand how someone they labeled harmless became someone whose energy shifts the entire atmosphere. They don't understand how you learned their patterns without ever exposing yours. And that confusion, that's their reckoning. Your silence was your weapon because it protected the construction of your new self. It shielded your upgrades, hid your breakthroughs, and kept your evolution untouched by their opinions. And now your new energy walks into rooms before you do. Your presence feels different. Your aura is heavier, sharper, more defined. They always expected you to fade, but you grew in a direction they couldn't see. Number 2. Quit letting them mistake your kindness for softness. Lead with inner authority. Chosen one, it's time you stop letting people confuse your kindness for softness. They treated your gentle nature like it was an invitation to underestimate you. They thought your patience meant passivity, your empathy meant weakness, your calmness meant you didn't know what was going on. But what they never understood is that kindness is not the absence of strength, it's the control of it. For years, you walked into rooms with quiet eyes, soft energy, and a heart that wanted to see the best in people. And instead of respecting that purity, some decided to take advantage of it. They pushed, they poked, they tested your boundaries, believing you didn't have any claws beneath that calm skin. They assumed you were harmless simply because you didn't throw your weight around like they did. But now their jaws are dropping because the side of you they never expected has finally stepped forward, the side that leads with inner authority. Not loud, not aggressive, not desperate for attention, just centered, sharp, unshakable. The kind of authority that makes people straighten their posture without knowing why. The kind that makes those who once mocked you suddenly choose their words carefully. That's the power they didn't see coming. Your kindness was never a flaw. It was restraint. It was discipline. It was you choosing to understand before you reacted. And that scares them now, because they realize someone with a good heart and a strong mind is the most dangerous combination on earth. Chosen one, your energy has shifted. You're not here to play soft for anyone's comfort. You're not bending so people can feel tall next to you. You are leading with a quiet authority that can't be manipulated, can't be pushed, can't be mistaken anymore. Number 3. Don't get dragged into chaos. Master it through unshakable calm. Chosen one, the side of you they never expected is the one that refuses to be dragged into their chaos. They thought you were easy to trigger, easy to manipulate, easy to pull into their storms. But you're calm. That's what's making their jaws hit the floor. Because nothing exposes a chaotic person faster than someone who refuses to play in their mess. They tried to provoke you, bait you, disturb your focus. They wanted to see you derail so they could feed their ego with your reaction. But what they didn't realize is that your silence wasn't weakness. It was strategy. While they were out here throwing emotional grenades, you were studying their patterns. While they spiraled, you centered. While they chased attention, you chased clarity. And that made you untouchable. Your calm is not passive. It is precision. It is the kind of stillness that only comes from someone who has mastered themselves. When others explode, you analyze. When they lash out, you step back. That's why they're confused. That's why they whisper. They can't understand how their chaos didn't pull you under, how it only made you stronger. Chosen one, this is the side of you they never prepared for, the version that negotiates madness with logic, pressure with patience, and attacks with awareness. You became the calm inside their storm, and that infuriates them. They can't figure out how you stay unshaken when they throw everything at you. But here's the truth. You weren't avoiding the chaos. You were mastering it. You learned how to read energy, decode intention, and step away before their problems became yours. And now, your unshakable calm doesn't just protect you. Number 4. Stop mistaking stillness for stagnation. Move only when the timing is divine. Chosen one, stop confusing your stillness with stagnation. Your quiet phases were never signs of weakness. They were the silent calibration of someone dangerously in tune with the timing of the universe. Your enemies thought you froze. They thought you were lost, stuck, hesitating. But you weren't paused. You were preparing. You were watching the battlefield from above while they mistook your stillness for surrender. People who operate on impulse will never understand someone who moves by alignment. While they rush into chaos just to feel alive, you wait for the moment when everything clicks, the moment when the universe shifts the pieces into place so perfectly that your next step hits like an earthquake. That's what they never expected from you. They underestimated your silence, not realizing it was the biggest threat you had. Stillness is strategy. It's the mind sharpening, the spirit steadying, the future forming behind the scenes. Your enemies kept hoping you'd panic, act out of fear, or expose your plan. But instead, you did the one thing they couldn't predict. You stayed centered. And nothing unsettles the insecure more than someone who refuses to move until the moment is right. And now the timing is right. Your movement is precise. Your decisions are clean. Your steps are intentional. And the same people who mocked your patience are choking on the shock of your acceleration. They can't understand how someone they counted out suddenly outpaces them. That's because they never learned the power of restraint. Chosen one, your stillness was never stagnation. It was cosmic synchronization. And now that your timing has aligned with your power, you're moving in a way they simply can't defend against. This is the side of you they never saw coming, and now they have no choice but to watch you rise. Number 5. Don't fight loud battles, win the silent ones that build real strength. Chosen one, the world taught you to fight loud battles, to shout, to defend, to prove. But that was never your path. You were never built for noisy wars. You were forged for the quiet ones, the invisible ones, the internal ones that make or break a person long before any public victory appears. And that's exactly why your rise has stunned them. They never heard your struggle, but now they're hearing your success. Your enemies expected you to crack under pressure because they mistook your stillness for surrender. They threw drama into your path, hoping to lure you into chaos, because chaos is where they draw power. But you refused to play their game. Instead of reacting, you recalibrated. Instead of shouting back, you studied the entire battlefield. That calm they mocked, it became the weapon they couldn't anticipate. See, chosen one, the silent battles. Those are the ones that build real strength. The nights when you had to hold yourself together without anyone cheering you on. The moments you bit your tongue, not out of fear, but out of mastery. The times you walked away, not because you were weak, but because your energy was too valuable to waste on small-minded provocations. While they were busy trying to expose you, they exposed themselves. While they tried to break your focus, you sharpened it. While they tried to drain your confidence, you deepened your resilience. The irony? Every trap they set ended up strengthening the very version of you they feared the most. And now that this new side of you is stepping out, the version sculpted by silent battles, not loud ones, they're speechless. Their jaws drop because you didn't need noise, arguments, or confrontation to win. You won in silence. You won with strategy. You won by outgrowing the entire battlefield. Number 6. Stop trying to be seen. Disappear to reinvent. Reappear to dominate. Chosen one, stop trying to be seen by people who only look with shallow eyes. The version of you they once overlooked was never the final draft. You weren't meant to compete for attention in a room full of small minds. You were meant to disappear, break yourself open, rebuild your foundation, and return as someone they can't ignore even if they try. That's the side of you that made their jaws drop, the side they never imagined existed. See, disappearing wasn't you quitting. It was you stepping into your private laboratory, a place where noise dies and transformation becomes law. While they were flashing their highlights to the world, you were constructing a version of yourself that would someday overshadow everything they tried to flaunt. They laughed when you went quiet, but silence is where chosen ones sharpen their edges. They thought you were fading, but you were forming. There's a cosmic irony at play here. The more they tried to push you into the background, the more pressure they unknowingly added to your rise. They thought they were burying you, but all they did was deepen your roots. And when people like you return from the shadows, you don't come back as the same face. They meet your evolution, your precision, your authority. Chosen one, understand this clearly. You were not made to be constantly visible. You were made to be unforgettable. When you reappear, it won't be for validation. It'll be because you've become too powerful to stay hidden. Your presence will hit different, your energy will speak first, and your impact will echo long after you leave a room. Number 7. Don't break under pressure. Turn every hit into reinforcement. Chosen one, they thought pressure would crush you. They thought throwing weight on your shoulders would finally make you collapse, expose you, break you down to the version of yourself they felt comfortable with. But what they didn't expect, what made their jaws drop, is how every hit you took didn't weaken you. It reforged you. Pressure doesn't destroy the right person, it reveals them. And the version of you that pressure revealed is the one they never saw coming. They pushed you, hoping you'd snap. They tested you, hoping you'd quit. They added stress, hoping your structure would crack. But chosen ones don't shatter. We compress, we recenter, we solidify. And when the weight gets heavier, we transform into something they can no longer manipulate, intimidate, or control. Every challenge became training. Every setback became armor. Every insult became fuel. While they were laughing at your struggles, fate was carving out a resilience in you that their soft, comfort-cushioned lives could never build. They wanted to see you fragile, but pressure made you precise. They wanted you broken, but pressure made you bulletproof. Chosen one, understand this. The hits you took didn't damage your core. They awakened it. Pressure built a version of you that walks differently, thinks differently, reacts differently. You're not moved by the same triggers. You're not shaken by the same storms. You've come out of the fire clearer, harder, sharper. And this is exactly the side of you they were never prepared for. The unbreakable side. The version of you that can stand in the middle of chaos and still remain centered. The version of you that turns adversity into advantage. You were never meant to crumble under pressure. You were meant to become the force that pressure could never bend. Number 8. Stop letting them underestimate you. Use your mind as a strategic weapon. Chosen one, they underestimated you because they misread your silence. They saw you thinking and assumed you were stuck. They watched you observe and assumed you were intimidated. They noticed how you processed before reacting and mistook that restraint for uncertainty. But what they didn't know, what they never expected, is that your mind has always been your most dangerous weapon. You don't move impulsively. You don't jump at every distraction. You don't react to every provocation. While they wasted energy trying to impress or compete, you were studying the entire landscape. While they tried to play games, you were learning the rules better than the players themselves. You weren't just quiet. You were calculating. And now that calculation is haunting them. People with loud intentions fear people with quiet intelligence. They can't read you. They can't predict you. They can't figure out how you always stay 10 steps ahead. It disturbs them because they're used to manipulating those who move without thinking. But you're the anomaly. You're the one who watches patterns, picks up on motives, and senses energy shifts before they even happen. That's why your rise feels like an ambush to them. They didn't see it coming because they never bothered to look deeper. They only judged what they could measure on the surface. And your surface? You kept it calm, neutral, unreadable, on purpose. Chosen one, your mind is your map, your shield, your sharpest blade. You see angles they miss. You decode intentions they hide. You adapt faster than they can adjust. And now, every move you make reminds them they miscalculated you entirely. They expected simplicity. Instead, they met strategy. They expected weakness. Instead, they met mastery. And that's why their jaws are dropping now. You used the very thing they overlooked to surpass them all. Number 9. Don't just heal the wound. Evolve beyond the version that got hurt. Chosen one, the part that made their jaws drop wasn't that you healed. Anyone can patch a wound. What stunned them is that you evolved into someone the old pain could never recognize, let alone control. They expected you to bounce back as the same version of yourself, maybe a little shaken, maybe a bit quieter, maybe easier to manipulate. But you didn't come back patched. You came back upgraded. Healing was just the surface. You went deeper. You dismantled the version of you that allowed certain people access to your energy. You rewired the habits that kept you stuck. You erased the soft spots they used to poke at. You didn't just close the wound, you built armor over it. And that's what unsettles them. They were prepared for your recovery, not your evolution. They thought the pain they caused would keep you predictable, timid, and easy to read. Instead, you turned that pain into data, into power, into a new identity that no longer bends where you once broke. Chosen one, the version of you that got hurt no longer exists. You shed that layer like old skin, and now you're moving with a clarity that burns through illusions, with boundaries that cut off anything that doesn't align, with awareness that sees manipulation before it even forms. You're not just healed. You're unreachable on the level where they once wounded you. That's why they're shocked. They can't trigger you. They can't guilt you. They can't pull you back into the old script. You outgrew the entire storyline. And as you evolve, chosen one, they're forced to face a truth they never expected. The pain they tried to break you with became the exact pressure that built the version of you that now haunts them. Number 10. Stop following the crowd. Step into the force that sets the direction. Chosen one, stop trailing behind people who don't even know where they're going. You were never designed to blend into crowds that move on autopilot, following trends, opinions, and noise without questioning anything. That was never your path. You weren't born to fit into lines. You were built to redraw them. There's a reason your enemies freeze when you walk in. There's a reason people who once ignored you now study your every step. They're starting to realize the side of you they never expected, the part that doesn't wait for permission, the part that doesn't follow the flow, the part that is the flow. While they clump together for comfort, you rise alone with clarity. And that separation, That's where your power lives. Crowds rely on volume. Chosen ones rely on direction. Crowds chase acceptance. Chosen ones chase alignment. Crowds fear standing out. Chosen ones fear wasting potential. See the difference. The moment you stop walking behind others is the moment your real path opens. And when you take that first step as the force, not the follower, the entire atmosphere shifts. People feel it before they understand it. Your growth becomes a disturbance. Your confidence becomes a ripple effect. Your presence becomes a recalibration of the room. Your old doubters can't handle it because your elevation exposes their stagnation. They wanted you predictable. They wanted you dependent. They wanted you stuck in the same circles that kept them comfortable. But chosen one, your destiny refuses to shrink to fit anyone's expectations. The side of you that makes their jaws drop is the one that finally realizes you don't walk behind anyone, you walk ahead, and the world adjusts. Number 11. Don't shrink your presence. Let your energy shift the entire room. Chosen one, don't you dare shrink your presence anymore. You've spent too many years squeezing yourself into spaces that were never built to contain you. And now that you're stepping into your real power, your very presence carries a weight that shifts the temperature of every room you walk into. They feel it. They can't explain it. And that's exactly why their jaws drop. They're finally witnessing the side of you they never expected to face. You used to enter rooms like you were asking for permission to exist. Quiet, careful, softened. Not because you lacked confidence, but because you were studying everything, every motive, every energy, every hidden intention. They mistook that awareness for insecurity. They took your gentleness as an invitation to underestimate you. But now the tables have flipped, and the new version of you hits harder than any words you could ever speak. Chosen one, your energy arrives before your footsteps. Your aura announces itself without noise. People sense your presence the way animals sense a shift in the weather, instinctively, uncontrollably. Something about you commands attention without demanding it, and that unsettles anyone who once believed they had you figured out. This is the part they never expected. You didn't get louder, you got clearer. You didn't become arrogant, you became aligned. And alignment radiates in a way that forces others to confront their own stagnation. That's why they suddenly stiffen around you. That's why they look twice. That's why they fall silent when you enter. You're a mirror now, and some people can't handle their own reflection. So don't dim yourself to make others comfortable. Don't shrink to match their expectations. Expand, stand tall, take up the space you were always meant to occupy. Your presence isn't a burden, it's a signal, a reminder that the chosen one has arrived and nothing will ever be the same again. Number 12. Stop believing their doubts, become the proof they never saw coming. Chosen one, there comes a point where you must stop borrowing the limits that other people tried to place on your life. Their doubts were never prophecies, they were projections. They weren't predicting your failure, they were revealing their fear of your potential. And now that the real you is emerging, they're realizing their biggest mistake wasn't underestimating you. It was believing you'd stay where they last saw you. See, people love to slap labels on you because it makes them comfortable. Too quiet, too soft, too unrealistic. They wanted you to shrink yourself to fit their imagination because your true scale intimidated them. But cosmic balance doesn't bend for their insecurities. It bends for your evolution. And that evolution, it's happening right now, whether they like it or not. Every doubt they threw at you became friction, and that friction became fire. They tried to break your confidence, but all they did was expose their own lack of vision. They didn't see where you were headed because they only looked at the surface. They never sensed the storm forming beneath your calm. They never noticed the shift in your energy. They never recognized the discipline happening behind closed doors. But now they're witnessing the version of you that refuses to apologize for existing on a higher level. The version that doesn't explain, doesn't seek approval, doesn't need their acknowledgement. You've become the proof they swore would never exist, the undeniable evidence that their opinions were too small for your destiny. Chosen one, this is your transformation from underestimated to unforgettable. You didn't argue with their doubts. You didn't fight back with words. You simply grew until growth became your revenge. And now their jaws are dropping because you didn't just rise. You rose into someone they can no longer ignore. And now, chosen one, as everything settles into place, you can feel it, the shift, the certainty, the undeniable truth that you've stepped into a version of yourself they never predicted. This is your turning point. The moment you stop living small and start living aligned with the power you've earned. Before you go, keep this momentum alive. Hit that like button, subscribe so this message reaches more rising forces. Drop 99 in the comments to seal your transformation, and share this with someone who needs to remember their own strength. Your rise is just beginning.